in the voice of Priyanka Chopra. Hey loves, let's get real for a moment. Have you ever looked at someone you love and felt so deeply connected that the words just slipped out? You're my whole world. I've said it, I've felt it, and maybe you have too. Because when we fall in love, it's natural to feel like that person becomes everything, our peace, our home, our happiness. But here's what I've learned the hard way. When one person becomes your entire world, you lose your own. In today's video, I want to talk about this one powerful line, "You're my world," and why, despite how romantic it sounds, it might actually be hurting your relationship, and more importantly, yourself. This isn't about holding back your love. This is about learning how to love without losing yourself. So let's dive in heart first and explore why building a life where love is a part of your world, not your whole world, is the most beautiful, powerful thing you can do for both of you. Let's get real, ladies. There's a habit many of us fall into sometimes without even realizing it. It's when we tell a man, "You're so much better than my ex." Now on the surface, it might sound like a compliment, right? Like you're appreciating the new man in your life and validating how different and wonderful he is compared to your past. But here's the truth, it's not a compliment. It's a comparison. And comparisons, especially in love, are dangerous territory. When you bring up your ex, even in a so-called positive way, you're planting a seed of insecurity. What he hears is not just that he's better, but that you're still thinking about the one who came before him. And trust me, no one wants to be measured against someone from your past, especially in matters of the heart. We're all human. We all come with stories, with scars, with exes that taught us lessons, good and bad. But a real relationship begins when we stop looking backward and start being fully present with the person in front of us. Love isn't a competition. It's not about being better than someone else. It's about being the best version of yourself for each other, right here, right now. When you say "you're better than my ex," you might mean, well, you're trying to express that you found someone who treats you better, respects you more, maybe even understands you in ways your ex never did. That's valid. But the way to express that isn't by dragging the past into the present. Instead, affirm your current partner for who he is, not for who is not. Say things like, "I really admire how patient you are," or "I feel safe when I talk to you." That's real. That's meaningful. That's grounded in the now. You see, relationships are built on trust, and trust doesn't grow in the shadow of someone else. The moment you compare, even in a flattering way, you invite the idea that you're still evaluating your relationship against your past. And that creates an invisible pressure, the kind that eats away at emotional security over time. And let me add this, it's not just about the man. It's about you too. When you keep referencing your ex, you're keeping that chapter open emotionally. You're holding on to old wounds, old validations, old standards. And if you're still defining your happiness by what someone else didn't give you, are you truly free to experience what someone new is offering? Let go. Not because your ex was bad, not because your past doesn't matter, but because you deserve to love without comparison. You deserve a relationship that's rooted in authenticity, not revenge. And your partner deserves to feel chosen for who he is, not for how he stacks up against someone who broke your heart. Ladies, you are not defined by your past. You are not your ex's mistakes. And the man you love now, he's not your emotional recovery plan. He's your choice, a conscious one. So treat that choice with the dignity it deserves. And next time you want to say, "You're better than my ex," pause, take a breath. Look into his eyes and say, "Thank you for being you." That's all he needs to hear. And that's all your heart needs to heal. Trust me, there's nothing more pious and love that's free from comparison and full of present. Let me start with this. I love romance. The grand gestures, the small moments, the electricity of connection. I've lived it on screen. And I've lived it in real life. But there's one thing that movies often get wrong. And we've all heard it: "You complete me." Now I get it. It sounds beautiful. It sounds poetic. But let's break it down, because while the line might belong in a script, it doesn't belong in your real-life love story. Telling someone "you complete me" might feel like the ultimate declaration of love. But in truth, what it actually says is, "I am not whole without you." And that, my friend, is not love. That's emotional dependence. You see, somewhere along the way, we've been sold this fairy tale that we're all walking around like half of a puzzle, waiting for someone else to make us whole. But here's the reality: you are already complete. You don't need another person to finish you. You need a partner to walk beside you, not someone to fill a void you haven't healed from. Let me ask you something. Would you rather be loved for your light or for your shadows? Because when you believe you're incomplete, you end up seeking someone to fix the cracks. And that's too much pressure to put on any relationship. Think about it. If you hand someone the responsibility of completing you, you're also handing them the power to break you. That's not love, that's dependency. And it's a fragile place to build anything lasting. True love starts when two whole people come together, not to fix each other, not to save each other, but to grow together. It's about choosing each other, not needing each other. And ladies, we've come too far to shrink ourselves into halves. We've worked too hard, fought too many battles, and risen from too many ashes to believe that we are only worthy when someone else validates our existence. You should never need a man to complete you. You should want a man to complement you. There's a big difference. When you say you complete me, you're placing your emotional well-being in someone else's hands. What happens when they leave? What happens when they change? You end up lost, disconnected, questioning your worth all over again. But when you walk into love as a whole, empowered, grounded woman, you build a connection based on truth, on partnership, on mutual respect, not on the illusion that you're only okay because someone else is there. So the next time you feel those words on the tip of your tongue, you complete me, I want you to pause. Breathe, look within, ask yourself, am I celebrating him for who he is? Or am I trying to fill something I haven't healed yet? Instead say, I love the way we grow together, or you bring joy to my already full life. That's powerful, that's healthy, that's real. Ladies, remember this, you're not a half. You are a whole. A universe of dreams, flaws, fire and brilliance, and the right person. They'll never try to complete you, they'll simply stand beside you and cheer as you shine. Don't settle for the fantasy of being completed. Live the truth of being loved fully, freely and without needing to be fixed. Because you are enough, you are complete. You always have been. Let's talk about safety, emotional safety, physical safety, mental peace. We all want it. We all deserve it. But how we define and express that need makes all the difference, especially in relationships. You might be tempted to say to a man, you make me feel safe because I can't protect myself. Now, I understand the sentiment. It's vulnerable. It's honest. It might even sound romantic, like you're trusting him with your heart, your fears, your whole being. But here's where we need to pause and rethink the message behind those words. Because what you're really saying isn't just, I feel secure with you. You're saying, without you, I'm not safe. And that's not love. That's helplessness. Ladies, let me be real with you. There's nothing empowering about believing you need someone else to shield you from life. Yes, it's beautiful to find comfort in someone. It's powerful to feel protected in a relationship. But the moment your safety depends on another person, you give away your strength. You don't need a protector. You need a partner. A protector stands in front of you. A partner stands beside you. There's a big difference. When we tell someone, I can't protect myself, we unintentionally reduce ourselves. We shrink our own power, our resilience, our ability to stand tall when life gets messy. And that's not the story we should be telling, not to anyone, and definitely not to ourselves. The truth is, you are more powerful than you've been led to believe. Society may have told us that women are fragile, that we need a man to feel safe, that we need someone stronger to stand between us and the world. But darling, you were never fragile, you were conditioned to believe you were. Safety doesn't begin in someone else's arms. It begins in your own mind, in the way you speak to yourself, in the way you back yourself up, in the way you get back up when life knocks you down. And when you say, I can protect myself, but I still choose you, that's not just romantic, that's empowering. That's love that's rooted in strength, not fear. A healthy relationship isn't about dependency. It's about two whole people who bring safety to each other, not out of desperation, but out of choice. When you know you're capable of protecting your peace, your dreams, your emotional boundaries, you show up differently. You show up as a queen, not as someone waiting to be rescued. And to the men listening, it's beautiful that you want to make your partner feel safe. That is love. That is presence. But know this, the most powerful thing you can do is support her as she builds her own shield, not expect to be it for her. So, ladies, instead of saying, I can't protect myself, try saying, I've learned to protect myself and it's beautiful to have you beside me. That shift changes everything. It tells the world that you are not helpless. You are not broken. You are not small. You are powerful. And any love you invite into your life should honor that power, not overshadow it. So own your strength. Protect your peace. And remember, the safest place you'll ever be is within your own self-belief. Everything else is a bonus. Let's get honest for a moment. We've all had those days, maybe weeks or even years, where everything feels like it's falling apart. Life throws its curveballs, dreams feel distant, and some days it's that one person who feels like the only thing keeping you afloat. And in those moments you might feel like saying, you're the only good thing in my life. It sounds heartfelt, vulnerable, deeply emotional. But let's unpack that sentence for what it really means. Because behind those words is a heavy truth. You're putting the entire weight of your happiness on someone else's shoulders. And no one, no matter how loving or committed, can carry that kind of burden forever. Love is meant to be shared. It's meant to uplift, to inspire, to add joy to your journey. But it should never be the only joy in your journey. When you tell someone they are the only good thing in your life, you might be trying to show appreciation, I'm grateful for you. But what you're also communicating, consciously or not, is, without you, I'm nothing. And that's not romance. That's emotional pressure. You're not just telling them they matter, you're telling them they're responsible for your entire sense of well-being. And that can be overwhelming. It creates a dynamic where one person becomes the caretaker of the other's emotional stability, and that's not love. That's imbalance. Let me remind you, you are not here to be saved. You are here to live, to explore, to build a life full of color, passion, purpose, and joy. A relationship should never be the only light in your world. It should be a light, not the light. Think of it like this. If your partner is the only source of happiness in your life, what happens when they're going through a bad day? What happens when they need space or when life pulls them in another direction for a while? Suddenly your world goes dark, and that's too much power to place in another person's hands. You are meant to have a full, beautiful, multi-dimensional life, a life with passion projects, friendships, family bonds, purpose, laughter, and self-love. Your partner should complement that life, not be the only reason it feels worth living. So instead of saying, you're the only good thing in my life, try saying, you make the good in my life even better. That's powerful. That's healthy. That's grounded in gratitude, not dependency. We need to stop glamorizing emotional extremes in love. Needing someone and appreciating someone are two very different things. One is rooted in lack, the other in abundance. Let me say this loud and clear, you are allowed to feel whole all on your own. You're allowed to have a life that's rich in joy, even when you're single. And when someone comes along and adds to that, that's the magic. But never forget you are the good thing too, your dreams, your resilience, your laughter, your late night thoughts, your early morning hopes. You're not waiting for someone to bring goodness into your life. You are capable of creating it, owning it, and living it. So yes, celebrate your partner, love out loud, but don't hand over the keys to your happiness and walk away. Keep them with you, guard them, share the ride, but always know where the steering wheel is. Because the healthiest love isn't about someone being your only joy. It's about them being one beautiful part of a joyful life you've already lived for. Let's have a real heart-to-heart. There's something many of us have said or at least felt in the depths of a relationship, especially when we're emotionally vulnerable. It's that line that sounds dramatic, romantic, even poetic, I need you to feel worthy. But let's take a closer look at that, shall we? Because what that line really says is, I don't know my worth unless you validate it. And that's not love, that's emotional dependence wrapped in romantic language. And that's a dangerous place to build any relationship. Here's the truth, your worth was never meant to be measured by someone else's presence in your life. It's not defined by whether they choose you, stay with you, compliment you, or comfort you. Self-worth, real, lasting, unshakable self-worth starts and ends with you. I get it. When someone makes us feel seen, adored, accepted, it's natural to associate that with worth. You feel beautiful when they call you beautiful. You feel special when they treat you like a priority. You feel worthy because they've chosen you. But the moment that worth becomes tied to another person, it becomes fragile, conditional, dangerous, because what happens if they leave? What happens when they're busy, distracted, imperfect as all humans are? You start questioning yourself again, you spiral, you shrink, and that's the trap. No one, not even the person who loves you most, should hold the keys to your self-worth. That's too much power to give away. And frankly, it's too much pressure to place on someone else. When you say, I need you to feel worthy, you're not just expressing love. You're handing over your sense of self. That's not romantic, that's emontic outsourcing. Here's what I've learned often, the most powerful relationships are not the ones that complete us, but the ones that remind us of who we already are. Not because we forgot, but because life got noisy. When you know your worth, when you really own it, love becomes a beautiful addition, not a desperate need. You stop clinging, you stop pleasing to be accepted, you stop shrinking just to be enough for someone else. You begin to love from a place of abundance, not lack. You choose someone not to fill you, but to walk beside you. And that is real power. So instead of saying, I need you to feel worthy, say, I already know my worth and I'm grateful to share it with you. That's not arrogance, that's self-respect. And that's the kind of energy that builds healthy, lasting relationships where both people know who they are and they love each other freely, not fearfully. Ladies, I need you to hear this. You were worthy before they arrived. You'll be worthy if they stay. And you'll be worthy even if they leave. Your worth is not tied to how someone else sees you. It's rooted in how you see yourself, in your boundaries, your values, your growth, your healing. So stand tall. Love boldly. But never forget that the love you seek starts within. And the moment you realize that you never needed anyone to make you worthy is the moment you become unstoppable. You're not a half waiting to be made whole. You are already complete, already powerful, already enough. Own it, live it, believe it. let's talk about one of the most overused lines in the history of romance: I can't live without you. Now I know it sounds intense, it sounds passionate, it sounds like the kind of thing that belongs in a sweeping Bollywood climax with violins playing flying in the background. But here's the thing, in real life, that line doesn't scream love, it screams emotional dependency. I get it. We've been conditioned to equate desperation with devotion. That if you don't feel like you'll fall apart without someone, it must not be real love. But let me say this with all the strength and love I have, you absolutely can live without him. And you must know that. Because love is not supposed to feel like survival. It's supposed to feel like freedom. Like two people choosing each other every single day, not because they have to, but because they want to. When you say, I can't live without you, what you're really doing is handing someone the power over your entire emotional existence. You're placing your identity, your happiness, your ability to function in their hands. That's not romantic, that's risky, that's dangerous. Because what happens when they're not around? What happens when they have a bad day? What happens when life throws you a curveball and they can't be your everything? You fall, you crumble, you forget who you were before them. And that's exactly why you need to shift from dependence to partnership. Not I can't live without you, but I choose to live with you. Because choosing someone fully, intentionally, with strength is so much more powerful than needing them to breathe. Here's the truth, ladies, you existed before he walked into your life. You laughed before he made you smile. You dreamed before he believed in you. You are the main character of your story, not the supporting role in someone else's. And yes, love should be deep. It should touch your soul. But it should never make you forget your own worth, your own capability, your own ability to rise, to survive, to thrive with or without someone else beside you. And to the men out there, you don't want to be someone's entire world. The pressure is suffocating. You want to be a part of someone's rich, vibrant, meaningful life, not their only reason to keep going. When a woman knows she can live without you, but still chooses to love you, that's where true intimacy begins. That's love without fear. That's connection without control. That's romance without chains. So to every woman out there, love deeply, love boldly, but never love so blindly that you forget how to stand on your own. Say to him, I love you, not because I need to survive, but because I've built a life I'm proud of, and I want you in it. That's strength, that's maturity. That's love rooted in truth. And if you're ever tempted to say, I can't live without you, pause and ask yourself, is this love or is this fear? Because the love that lasts, the love that liberates, it doesn't beg, it doesn't cling, it doesn't threaten to collapse. It stands tall, it stands proud. It says, I can live without you, but life is even more beautiful with you in it. And that, my friends, is the kind of love worth having and the kind worth giving. Let's talk about a phrase that carries so much weight: I gave up everything for you. Now, I've heard this line in films, I've seen it in real life arguments, and I know where it comes from, a place of deep emotion. But here's the truth, that sentence, no matter how heartfelt, doesn't represent love. It represents imbalance. You see, when we enter a relationship, especially one we care deeply about, it's natural to make adjustments. We compromise, we prioritize, we sometimes even make sacrifices. That's part of loving someone. But here's the catch: sacrifice without boundaries eventually turns into self-erasure. When you start giving up parts of yourself, your career, dreams, your passions, your friendships, or for the sake of the other person, what you're really doing is abandoning yourself. And eventually that abandonment catches up with you. It turns into quiet resentment. It turns into bitterness. It turns into a version of you that looks in the mirror and wonders, what happened to me? Let me say this clearly, love is not about losing yourself for someone. Love is about finding a version of yourself that is more whole, more fulfilled, more alive with them in your life. When someone hears you say, I gave up everything for you, they don't feel loved, they feel guilty. And guilt is not the foundation for connection. It creates distance, it creates discomfort. It creates a debt, and that's not what real love should ever feel like. True intimacy thrives not on sacrifice, but on mutual respect. Ladies, your dreams matter, your individuality matters, your life outside of your relationship, it matters. And the moment you start giving it all up to hold on to someone else, you're sending yourself a message: my worth is based on how much I can lose for someone else. But that's not love, that's martyrdom. And we need to stop glorifying martyrdom in relationships. It's not noble. It's not romantic. It's a slow act of self-abandonment. So instead of sacrificing everything, ask yourself, what am I keeping for myself? What dreams am I still nurturing? What boundaries am I honoring? Because when you hold on to who you are, your identity, your passions, your space, you don't have to look back one day and say, I gave up everything for you. Instead, you'll be able to say, I grew with you, I loved you fully, but I never lost myself. And that is powerful. Men and women alike, we have to shift the narrative. Let's move away from love that demands giving everything up. Let's move toward love that celebrates everything you bring. Love should not feel like subtraction. It should feel like addition, like growth, like expansion. So the next time you're tempted to say, I gave up everything for you, pause and reflect. Did I give those things up for love? Or because I was afraid that without those sacrifices, I wouldn't be enough? Because the most beautiful version of love doesn't ask you to trade your soul for security. It doesn't ask for your silence in return for loyalty. It doesn't want your sacrifice, it wants your authenticity. So protect your dreams, guard your individuality. Love with your whole heart, but don't lose your whole self. Because the right love will never ask you to give up everything. It will want to build everything with you. There's something about love that makes us want to say the biggest, most poetic things. One of those is the classic line, "You're my world." Sounds romantic, right? It's the kind of thing you hear in love songs, read in novels, or watch characters whisper on screen. But here's the thing, in real life, this line might not be as sweet as it sounds. It might actually be a red flag, not for them, but for you. When you tell someone you're my world, what you're really doing is shrinking your entire life down to one person. You're placing your identity, your joy, your purpose all in their hands. That's not love. That's emotional captivity. And let's be honest, no one should ever carry the responsibility of being your entire world. It's not fair to them, and it's not healthy for you. See, love should add to your life, not become your whole life. You were born with passions, dreams, talents, friendships, stories, and a fire inside that existed long before he showed up. Why would you give all of that up and replace it with one person? You are more than who you love. You're an entire world within yourself. You deserve to live a life where love is a part of the journey, not the destination. When someone becomes your whole world, you stop nurturing other parts of yourself. You stop growing. You stop exploring. You stop expanding. Because you're orbiting one person like they're the sun. But guess what? You're the sun. You're not supposed to revolve around anyone. Now, I'm not saying don't love deeply. Please love with everything you have. Be all in. Be vulnerable. Be present. But don't let that love become so consuming that you lose yourself inside it. Think about it. What happens if that relationship hits a rough patch? What happens if they disappoint you or leave or just need space? If they're your whole world, your life collapses. Your identity disappears. And that's when the heartbreak becomes identity crisis, because you built your entire sense of self around someone else. Instead, build a life that's rich, full, layered, a life where your relationship is one beautiful part of the whole. A life with your own dreams, your own friends, your own quiet moments, your own growth. And let your partner complement that life, not complete it. A real, lasting love is one where two people merge their worlds, not one person abandoning theirs. It's not about disappearing into each other, it's about standing side by side, both whole, both vibrant, both evolving. So rather than saying, "You're my world, try this, I love the world we're creating together," that's powerful, that's healthy, that's balanced. You're not giving up your world for someone else. You're inviting them into yours and building something new together. Let me tell you this from experience. The strongest women I know don't make someone their entire world. They create their own world first and then choose someone who respects, celebrates, and grows with them in it. So don't shrink to fit into someone's orbit. Shine so bright that your world becomes magnetic and the right person will want to stay. Not because they have to, but because it's where they feel most alive. Love isn't about surrendering your life, it's about expanding it. And you, my dear, were never meant to live in a world defined by someone else. You were born to build your own and share it with someone who sees the wonder in it. Take care and goodbye.